picture perfect market, and as was the case with the broader markets as well. Very lively.
Yeah, I mean, there are enough and more reasons why market should have not gone higher. There were enough and more factors which were centered around rich valuations, froth in the system. But those concerns have suddenly faded away. Both in terms of direction and in terms of market and in terms of momentum, markets have delightfully surprised. They've delightfully surprised everybody. Nifty at an all-time high, the comeback in small and mid-cap stocks. It's very heartening to see that large part of the collateral damage, what we saw, I think in financial, at least in stocks, individual stocks, that seems to be getting diluted. Now here's the trader screen. Global cues, I would say they are encouraging. Net flows are positive, and we've seen what could be called as bout of short covering. Now, what has led to this kind of an rally? See, there was a fear that, at least in mid-March, that there would be very strong regulatory action or regulatory intervention in the small and the mid-cap stocks. That fear, after ET Now did a story that the regulatory government is against any regulatory action, that fear has faded away. Globally, the Goldilocks scenario continues. Gold is up, Bitcoin is up. The markets which matter, they are not far away from its life high. DI buying continues, and we've seen a bout of short covering. Combine all that, what have we seen? We've seen, I think, a very strong comeback by the bulls. The bears had enough and more reason why market should go lower, but thankfully those fears have not translated into reality.
Yep, the markets were fooling no one yesterday. It was a pretty stellar rally, and that was really reflected in the kind of numbers and levels that we witnessed on the frontline indices. Those are the global markets as well, away from their highs, and how we stack up in comparison, given that we are perched at record highs. But that aside, it's interesting to understand as well, given the fact that we have seen the bout of short covering that seems to be over, the momentum, the direction seems to be on the upside. What exactly should be one's strategy, Nikunj?
See, Avan, the momentum and direction is strong. So you have to be on the long side of the trade. There is no point in trying to prejudge that, okay, this would be a 2% rally or this would be a 3% rally at max, and then you should take some chips off the table. Typically, when markets, after such a strong bout of volatility, when they recover and when breadth is strong, flows are strong, when global cues are strong, the markets, they tend to always surprise on the upside rather than giving you short bouts of swing. So looking at the structure, the pattern and the global setup, it appears that the current leg of the up move has potential to stretch itself. I think from a market standpoint, HDFC Bank is important because the Bank Nifty is not at an all-time high, and the Bank Nifty needs some kind of leadership. So the pivot stock really, which could be the mood decider for benchmark indices, especially for the Bank Nifty, could be HDFC Bank. And can HDFC Bank, because of its weightage, can it come back and make a difference for Nifty, which in a sense is really looking for that next leader, so to speak. F&O positions are very light. So now we'll have to see whether the bout of short covering gets over and we see genuine long. So what happened in the month of March was we saw short covering. Everybody thought that there would be a breakdown. The breakdown has not happened. Now markets have normalized. Nifty has moved to a new high. Typically when Nifty moves to a new high, it needs a support and it needs a leader. And if that comes from HDFC Bank, then because F&O positions are light, the market actually could rally further from here. So the mix of ingredients, global cues, strength in Bitcoin, DIIs, stability coming back in small and mid-cap stocks, they are pointing to the fact that the market has still some more juice left, and the momentum and direction, they both are strong, and it may remain like this for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. But, that's what's happening with the market. But a bigger move coming in terms of individual corporate actions. Now, Aditya Birla Fashions, they've come out with a demerger plan. They're saying that Madura Fashion is going to be a separate listed entity, and the two entities are going to have identical shareholding. Wonder what to make about this announcement now.
Okay, now let's first talk about the announcement and then we'll talk about the Birla Group. What are they trying to do? See, Aditya Birla Fashion is a fashion of the retail brand of Aditya Birla Group, which actually is housing multiple brands. They've done multiple acquisitions. They've got multiple formats, and that in a sense always has been from a market standpoint the pain point, which is that they are they are not focused and they have debt on their balance sheet, and that in a sense has hit the stock. You compare Aditya Birla Fashion with Trent. I mean, Trent is just skyrocketed and this one is still kissing the ground. So now the management is clearly realizing that you need to simplify and demerge the structure. Companies which have high margin, high cash flow, keep them separately. Companies or brands which have debt issue, which are not growing, which are in incubation stage, keep them away, and you want to make them big. Because for a shareholder right now, you actually, if you buy Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, you actually getting the entire basket of brands, where in that basket some brands are good and some brands are bad. So I think the idea here is to create entity in which you get the profitable business out, let market value it separately, and then you keep the basket of low growth and high debt separately and let market rediscover the value there. But for me, the broader point here is that why suddenly Aditya Birla Group is on this, front foot trying to readjust everything. So let's look at it. What is the news flow we've heard? Grasim has moved into the paint business. Century Textile has plans to become the third largest real estate builder in India. Hindalco is looking at filing of Novelis in US. Aditya Birla Capital is looking at merging some NBFCs so that the holding structure gets diluted. Each Birla group of company is taking some action, some demerger, or is looking at reorientation so that the return on capital improves and shareholder value could be created. It reminds me of what, let's say, the Tatas did between 2019 and 2021, and what the Mahindra Group has done between 2020 and 2022 when there was a change of the guard. So there seems to be a new vibrancy and energy, at least in the Birla Group. Now, could that be the Watch Group? Looks like, they are recognizing that they have valuable assets, and these valuable assets are not getting recognized by the company. It's a typical pattern at play. Yeah. Tata did the same, Mahindra did the same, Aditya Birla Group is doing the same. So could this really be the next one in terms of creating wealth now and reorganizing the structure? Such a powerful group. It has so many businesses that they really need to realign everything. It's always been this commodity heavy group. Yeah. Right? You've always had metals and cement.
Cement and metal.
Yeah, and now you're looking at reorienting itself so that value can be created. Just my personal thought, but the pattern seems to be indicating that they're really serious about creating shareholder value.
But I'm wondering, individually, what about AB Fashion today?
It'll go up, Aisha, because now what will
because
actually...
it has been a laggard compared to its peers, right?
Laggard, trend is gone.
And how?
Yeah,
right
this is still
there.
Kissing the ground. And you look at the data from 2020, please, Aditya Birla Fashion and Trent. And trust me, it's not going to be in graphical error when we'll point it out. 2020. Let's look at it. Hold your breath, guys. Sometimes when the graphics also see this kind of in data, we double check them. We triple check this data. Now that's Aditya Birla Fashion for you. From the brief, oh my God. There you go.
Yeah.
It's not a graphic error.
Yeah, the Trent is now more than 6 times the market cap of Aditya Birla Fashion. But yeah, interesting that you were likening it to what the Tata Group was doing in terms of restructuring their business. So we'll have to wait and see how things shape up for the entire Birla Group. But that's the latest news bit. And I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but I have to say that every morning when I wake up, it's now a little bit stickier, hotter. And it seems like this summer is now going to be hotter than normal because the Met Department has actually warned that there's going to be heat waves, and we'll see them over the next 3 months this self. So El Nino conditions will stay till the month of June, and it's going to be largely above normal temperatures over the central and western peninsula as well as in the plains. In fact, we spoke with Dr. Mohapatra, Director General of Meteorology for IMD. Let's just figure out what he had to say.
If I look at the forecast for heat wave during the period April to June, left-hand side diagram is the climatology of heat wave. Usually you get in the month of June, in this period April to June, you get heat wave conditions for northern India, central India, northern peninsula. And here on the right-hand side, this is the forecast. What you find that forecast indicates that the number of days compared to normal to be higher, especially the area is Gujarat, Madhya Maharashtra, North Karnataka, followed by Rajasthan, MP, North Chhattisgarh, Odisha, expecting rainfall over northwest India, and also there are some parts of the central India. And rainfall for the country as a whole is expected to be normal. Normal is defined as 88% to 112% of the long period average. The long period average rainfall for the country as a whole is 39.2 millimeters. El Nino and La Nina conditions, at present El Nino conditions are continuing. You can see from this diagram, El Nino conditions are expected to continue during April month and May month. But in the monsoon season, it is expected to become the neutral conditions.
Okay, so it's going to be scorching summers, Nikunj. That's something that we'd really have to brace ourselves for. Lots of heat waves.
It's global warming. It's very simple to see that, with each passing year, the global temperature is actually increasing, the heat waves, the intensity is actually increasing. Luckily for us, what the IMD seems to be forecasting that the El Nino impact perhaps should fade away towards the second half of the summer season, which is that it may hit you in April and May, but hopefully in the month of June, that's the time when the peak monsoon actually is there. Hopefully it will start getting diluted. Now, from a market standpoint, what it means, well, nothing really, as long as we get a good monsoon. But what actually could be interesting here is that, you have to deal with summer, and there was a time when you had to deal with summer, perhaps when there was no availability of air conditioning, when there was no access to 24/7 electricity. So from a market standpoint, if you really have to think through it, looking at the fact that affordability is increasing, electricity availability is there, air conditioning is no longer luxury, you may actually see more like a psychological impact in next couple of days, maybe today, tomorrow, this week, next week, in some of the air conditioner manufacturers. You may see some uptick which may come in some of the ice cream manufacturers. Hopefully you may see some uptick coming up, let's say, in some of the FMCG companies. That's about it. Really, from a market standpoint, it's hard to fathom that how the near term appeal actually would change, so to speak. But yes, you may actually see outperformance which may suddenly start in categories like companies which are in air conditioning, companies which are giving solutions for air conditioning, companies which essentially are giving you summer care products, companies which are giving you maybe products which are related to keeping your head cool.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.